Hi, I'm Lorenzo Rios, President and CEO of Valley PBS. Thank you for joining me as we proudly present the Big Tell 2020 Showcase featuring 10 short films as distinct and diverse as the unique region we live in. Where else can you scale steep cliffs, ride the rails and the waves without leaving your own backyard? You will meet some remarkable people who have touched lives through their everyday actions yet never consider themselves to be extraordinary. What a true celebration of all that makes our valley special. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but I do want to congratulate the filmmakers who you will also get a chance to hear from as they introduce themselves and their projects. I know you will love getting some insight into why they selected their topic and what inspired their work. It just makes watching their films even more meaningful. And just as these films are providing windows into the magic of our own area, for 43 years, Valley PBS has been providing windows to the world, at home and around the globe. Did you know our station brings more than 500 hours of performance and entertainment programming right into your living rooms annually? On air, online, and in the community, Valley PBS challenges our viewers with unparalleled content simply not available anywhere else. Valley PBS is the Valley's preschool, classroom, stage for the arts, and lens for exploration, pointing citizens of all ages to destinations where their interests will be served, their spirits lifted, and their voices and perspectives heard. On behalf of all who have worked so hard to put the Big Tell together this year, I invite you to enjoy this true collaboration of the best kind, one that could only happen right here in our Central Valley. After the program, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Which film will be your favorite? I think you'll have as difficult a time deciding as I did. Thanks for tuning in, and please, come grow with us.
Well, I think being a 2020 Big Tell filmmaker is actually very special. I know that we all wish that we could gather in person and walk down a red carpet, but here's the deal. In an era of COVID, all we have are films. All we have are images that connect us, and the fact that we can't be together makes these films even more important this year.
We may not be in a physical red carpet theater, but the beauty of the digital art form and the platform going online is that it's universal, and you could view this anywhere. So your audience is much larger.
Even a global pandemic couldn't stop the Big Tell.
So the James B. McClatchy Foundation is proud to partner with the Central Valley Community Foundation. They help our foundation amplify our mission of really reflecting the local voices and giving them the platform to tell their own stories.
When I think about James McClatchy, I think what better way to honor his life and legacy, telling the stories of people in the Central Valley. I mean, that's what he lived his life for.
By focusing on the Central Valley, picking one region, we get to really expand our idea of what the Central Valley is. Who's better qualified to tell those stories than the residents and the citizens of the Central Valley?
So I can't wait to see this year's films, and I guarantee you that when you watch all 10 of these, they will all make an impact, and you will walk away thinking about these films for months. I'm still thinking about things I saw last year, so I can't wait to see this year's films.
These are stories you haven't heard before. What you're about to see is a collection of stories from filmmakers across all backgrounds and all levels of experience.
Congratulations, 2020 Big Tell filmmakers. Thank you for working hard all year under really difficult circumstances to bring forward these stories. To the subjects of the films, thank you for sharing your stories with us. And to those of you who are about to enjoy these 10 films, you're gonna love them.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello, my name is Michael Price. I am the director of Lemoore, California, home of The Perfect Wave. This short documentary showcases the Kelly Slater Surf Ranch, which has been operating in Lemoore County since 2015. The Kelly Slater Surf Ranch is an artificial wave system that creates what has been known as the perfect wave. The film dives into the experiences of the guests who get to ride the wave, while also explaining the engineering and research that went into this engineering feat. We also examine how the surf ranch will change the surf industry and how Lemoore, California is now known as one of the premier surfing destinations. As a filmmaker, I felt this story was largely unknown to the Central Valley population, and I'm excited to showcase this amazing attraction.
Kelly Slater Surf Ranch is a lot of things to a lot of people. Some it's a sanctuary, but it's the perfect man-made barreling wave sitting here in Lemoore, California, in the middle of the most unique spot that you wouldn't expect something like this to exist. So surfing the wave is something that everybody here loves to do. We have our surf teams and our water safety teams that come in and just can't get enough of it.
What we joke around and call secondhand stoke, which is just how fired up everyone is that comes here. Everyone rolls through the front gate, and if they're not happy, you're kind of wondering who they are, if they have a soul when they come here. But that's like the main thing, is dealing with a bunch of happy people all day long.
An interesting story is they were telling everybody when they first were building this that this was a tilapia fish hatchery. And that secret stayed good for a while, but when surfboards started showing up at the Lemoore airport, or here at the Tachi Hotel, the trick was, or the secret was out of the bag for sure.
Kelly had a very clear vision, and he was able to articulate what this wave, because I didn't really know what a perfect wave is. I wouldn't know one if I saw one. I mean, it might be looks nicer, but perfect wave to a surfer is very specific, very, very specific, and he was able to articulate all of the characteristics that this wave has to have. In our research laboratory here in Culver City, we have the original prototype of our circular wave design. We are able to perform most of the tests related to the linear situation using the circular prototype without necessarily having to build a linear prototype. Knowing the mathematics that transforms things in the circular frame to the linear frame, we're able to do most of what we need to with the circular design. All of the measurement instruments send their signals through the center, where there's about 200 slip ring channels of rotating connectors. All of the data and power and control signals come back out through here to this sort of panel. We can also do field work here at full scale to perfect the wave. We can make measurements of our wave now that we have it and see, well, what can we do to make it better?
You see kind of like ability is definitely like forefront, like the most important thing, and nerves. It's just all a pressure cooker. It's you out there, you know your wave's coming, you're getting the same wave as everyone else. And it's really, I think, more of a mental battle.
I don't mind pools coming into competition because it does give that even everyone gets the same chance. In my opinion, pools show people's flaws. So it's kind of like, oh, they're really good at this, but they're not good at that. So it's very good for you as an athlete to learn. When you see your scores, you kind of understand, like, why was that only a 7? And you know all these things you need to work on to just have a set schedule. And it's a new nerve that we have to learn how to deal with, and it's awesome. It's testing us for sure.
The great thing about the wave pool is just the consistency. I mean, you show up and press a button and the wave breaks. So that's pretty different than what we're used to, where you show up for an event for 2 weeks and just hope that we get good swell. So in that way, it's super cool. But there's nothing like coming here for the first time and actually seeing just the scope and the magnitude of the wave in real life, and it's pretty surreal.
My first experience coming out was super exciting because I've never even been inland anywhere in California. That was an experience in itself, just driving here.
Between the county and the city, we're Lemoore Business of the Year. It's been great being here, and since I've had the opportunity to come out here and run this park, it's just met a lot of great people, and the city's embraced us. You wouldn't expect this surf park to be here, but for a lot of reasons, it was just meant to be.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos. My name is Adan Avalos, and I'm actually one of the directors, or the director of our Daily Bread, The Last Panadero. It's a film, a short film that is really close and dear to us. Es una historia sobre nuestra comunidad, sobre las personas que viven con nosotros. It's a very personal story about a bread man, about Nicolás Garcia, who's been delivering bread to our community for over 40 years. And I think a lot of people that see this film and recognize the individual will really be happy to see this. It's and it's not just about him as well. It's about our stories about just different communities and different people that come around bread and what traditional Latino or Mexican bread really means to us. And it's really sharing that communion, that idea of coming together as como familias. And pero sí, I want to, again, I want to welcome you. I want to thank you. I want to thank, the Central Valley Community Foundation for their support. I want to thank, McClatchy for helping us out and supporting us on this project. And also I want to thank, our families. Really, at the end, I want to thank our families who are part of the story. In particular, I want to thank, Yolanda Raiza, whose story is really, really close to us. And and last but not least, I want to really acknowledge all the labor really involved in a lot of these projects. So gracias a todos. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Te vamos a enchocolatar. Te vamos a enchocolatar. I still clearly remember those words coming out of mi viejita. She would repeatedly say that to me, and honestly, back then, I didn't really know what she was talking about. Te vamos a enchocolatar. Te vamos a enchocolatar. But you know what? Now I understand what she was talking about. When she died, when my grandmother died, that was exactly what we did. We all gathered soon after she passed. All visited her one last time. We cried. We laughed. We remembered. We held her hand. Memories and good ones. Great memories. We all shared as she laid in rest. Toda una virgencita. We brushed her beautiful hair. We put on her favorite blouse. The colorful one, the one she would always wear to go out. The few times she actually left the house. And then, before we knew it, the boxes of bread came. Lots of them. Lots and lots of bread. Las empanadas, la chilindrina, los cuernitos, las maripositas, los puerquitos, el bolillo, and of course, las conchas. All kinds of conchas, las de vainilla, de chocolate, de fresa, y mis favoritas, las rositas. Man, I kid you not, mis tías, and it seemed like all the women who visited my abuelita would come in to see her and then make a beeline for the kitchen. Stand around the stove, chatting while making chocolate. And I'm talking about the real chocolate from scratch, not that abuelita Nestle that you get from a yellow hexagon box. Te vamos a enchocolatar. That was exactly what we did. We celebrated her with a taza of hot chocolate and some good pan. The best fresh pan we could have ever had. What follows is not just a story about bread or about our bakery. It's my story. My family's story. It's our story. Our community. Our family has been baking and delivering bread to our Central Valley communities for over 40 years. Our little modest bakery, as you see it, believe it or not, once employed over 10 panaderos with their trucks to deliver our bread. And I'm talking about every day, delivering fresh baked bread all over the valley. My Uncle Nika, known by most in the community as Don Pancho, There's a funny story about how he got his nickname. Maybe one day, if you care to listen, I will tell you. But my Uncle Nika has seen so much change in our communities. I actually refer to him as the last panadero, because once he stops delivering our bread, there will, literally, be no one else left. Seriously, not to mention that there aren't many panaderias still around. But of the few that do exist, my uncle is the very last panadero still driving around every day, honking his horn and delivering our daily bread. Will our bakery survive? People keep asking. And how do you answer that? I mean, how does one know what our future holds? Did anyone really foresee that we would be living in these difficult times? My parents and my uncle talk about all the hard times our panaderia has been through. But if I really want to be honest, I'm not sure we're going to make it. Maybe one day, nos van a enchocolatar. Yes, make the best hot chocolate and bake the most beautiful bread one can ever imagine. Invite all our family and our community. Laugh, cry, remember. Yes. Remember all the great memories we've had. And maybe a few bad ones. But as my abuelita used to say, our panaderia, like our culture and our bread, will live on.
Hello, my name is Jason Duong.
And I'm Julie Scram. Our film, Love and Anxiety, is an outward expression of what people in the Black community are feeling inwardly. We really wanted to highlight an issue that we feel that is important for everybody.
I wanted to let people know, like my family, my friends, my coworkers, people, my acquaintances, people who just like see my social media where I stand on these issues, because I think just showing the overall support is really important. So it's really important to me that Julie's helped me, or let me help the situation.
It's truly a collaboration, and I'm grateful for friendships like this. I'm just hoping that we can provide some understanding on some of the issues that we're highlighting, and also just bring light to the importance of it all. We were able to collaborate with so many different artists. I'm a strong believer in leaning into your strengths, especially during advocacy and during this time. And we were able to kind of tap on a lot of our friends and use their strengths to bring this film together.
I really enjoyed working with everybody. So Julisse being a Black woman, me being an Asian man, our writer Tommy, he's a gay man. We all thought it was really important for us to really show support in this very moment, because we want to let people know that it doesn't just affect one community, it affects multiple people. So it was really nice to work with everybody, and we're coming together. We see these things on TV constantly, and I think a lot of times we forget that it's a human, we're seeing a human life being taken away from us. This person has a mother, they have a family, it could be someone's kid. So I think a lot of times we dehumanize the victims of these situations to a point where they don't even feel like human anymore. So I really want people to have understanding of what's really going on.
We hope that you all value the work that we put into this film.
And thank you to everyone that helped, and the Big Tell for giving us this platform to speak about this issue.
3 words that describe how I'm feeling right now: mad,
anxiety,
scared, angry, helpless,
rage,
pissed off,
fatigue,
enraged.
In Cleveland, a 12-year-old African-American child named Tamir Rice was fatally shot by police holding what turned out to be a pellet gun.
Tonight, after an unarmed African-American teenager was shot and killed by police in the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, Missouri.
National headlines. The state of Louisiana will not charge 2 police officers in the shooting death of Bolton Sterling, a father of 5. The shooting
night of protests in Louisville, Kentucky, as thousands demanded justice for George Floyd and for 2 Black Louisville residents killed by police, including Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old African-American woman shot to death by police in her own apartment in March. Taylor was an emergency.
More times than not, I just find myself enraged at what's going on. The thing about this situation is it's forced some things to the surface, some conversations, some awareness. It's just literally forced them to the surface. And you can't help but to process them in some capacity.
I was pretty numb. My way of coping with it was let me push everything away and let me unplug from everything, let me go to the mountains, let me just get away from everybody. But when that didn't work, I had to kind of confront what was happening, and I personally don't see an end in sight. One reason why I'm mad is because we are in 2020, and yet I have to experience, my son has to experience, my relatives have to experience things that my grandparents went through, my great-great-grandparents went through. And I didn't think we would be in these times in 2020.
My concern is that I'll tap into that rage that I talked about earlier. And I think a lot of us spend our time just trying to keep that person at bay. There's a part of me that understands both sides. I hear on one hand, why did you shoot him in the head? And on the other hand, I know that's what they train you to do.
Now that we are in the racial climate that we are in, I've been having to think more about my son's safety. So that is my fear. I fear that my son has to walk out in this world, you know, every day with a target on his back, and he hasn't done anything. I fear for my brothers. I have 3 younger brothers that are gonna grow up to be big black men one day. So my immediate fear goes to them. I'm mostly afraid that one day these stories aren't gonna be just in the news, that it's gonna be in my house, that it's gonna be a part of my story, not just a news story.
I was born here almost 60 years ago. I'm not going to live another 60 years. You always told me it takes time. It has taken my father's time, my mother's time, my uncle's time, my brothers and my sister's time, my nieces and my nephews' time. How much time do you want for your progress?
Hi, my name's Matt Mueller. I'm a filmmaker based in Fresno. This project is a story about an especially unique place in this part of California, and one that, for me personally, was a big deal to me in my childhood. And that's the Yosemite Mountain Sugar Pine Railroad in Fish Camp, just outside of Yosemite National Park in the Sierra National Forest. When I first started researching potential subjects for this year's Big Tell, I was looking for a story about people with a true passion for their craft, for their trade, and how years spent in that trade affect one's outlook on life, especially in the face of hardship and uncertainty. When I first met some of the crew members at the railroad, guys who have dedicated their careers to maintaining and operating these amazing machines, these giant antique steam locomotives, I immediately knew I'd found what I was looking for. Like all of us, their story has been deeply affected by the events of this year, and an important element of this film is how the railroad is even now overcoming the threat posed by the pandemic. On top of that, just weeks after we wrapped production, the railroad had to close down for the second time this year for several weeks due to the threat of wildfires. They've since been able to reopen, but they are absolutely counting on the support of our community to be able to make the most of what's left of an incredibly challenging year by anyone's standard. At its heart, This is a film about people doing what they love, following their passion, and preserving a fascinating little slice of California history. I want to thank the Yosemite Mountain Sugar Pine Railroad for their support throughout this process. It's been great getting to know the guys up there, their whole staff and crew. What they do is really cool stuff, and they've been nothing but helpful through this whole process. I also want to thank my crew members, Jeff Phillips, my camera assistant, and Henry Grimius, who handled post-production sound, for their fantastic work making this project a reality. And most of all, I want to thank my wife, Emily, for her love and support throughout this whole filmmaking process, and of course for her contribution as well as associate producer on this project. This film is called The Steam.
The first time I saw a train, at that time it was still steam railroading on the main line, and I thought that was neat. It was alive, it made noise, it moved, it was breathing, it had life, it had life. My name is Joseph Bispo. I'm an engineer, fireman on the steam locomotives at the Yosemite Mountain Sugar Pine Railroad. This represents a reincarnation of the original Madera Sugar Pine Lumber Company, which was a logging operation that extended one time from the outskirts of Yosemite National Park to what is now the Lewis Creek trailhead down below Sugar Pine. The idea was to, in a way, recreate the old Madera Sugar Pine Railroad operation as a tourist railroad, given the chance for the people to see what happened in the old days.
There's a lot of logging history out here that we're keeping alive, so I'm proud to be able to tell the story of the Madera Sugar Pine that used engines just like 15 and 10 out here to take this huge timber out of the forest that helped build towns and cities throughout the world.
The future for tourist railroad can be iffy because they're dying off. Some may have young kids coming in wanting to learn the different trades. Others are unfortunately probably going to go by the wayside eventually.
I'm Diego Morales. I work here in the shop, and I'm also on the engine crew as an engineer and fireman. Typical day would be I'd come in around 6:30 and 7:30 depending on the day, get the engine ready, you come in, light it off. The fireman's basically an engineer's right-hand man who manages the water, fire, and the steam in the boiler. So they've got their own checklist of things that they need to do to get the engine in the state that they prefer. The engineer would typically just look over his locomotive, make sure he's got a good engine, look at all the running gear, you look at the brake rigging. You never know what you might find at that one time that might be out of place that could be critical.
Tourist railroad, if they are open, they're struggling this year. When the pandemic hit the news, so to speak, the governor said, let's start staying home. And then he started shutting down different businesses. And then we were in that group of businesses that could not open. So we lost April, May completely. But when the governor started loosening things up, the people just jumped in their cars and started going everywhere. And the railroad became a destination. It has revitalized the operation in the Central Valley area because previous years we were depending on mostly tourists from overseas. And this year, because of the virus, they cannot travel freely to the United States, and our people are coming up basically from the Central Valley, Sacramento area, Bay Area. Last week we had couples coming up from San Diego even. But we were wondering, will we be able to continue through the end of what would be our normal operation in October? Or is the governor going to shut things down again? All up in the air, just wait and see and hope that we can stay open.
Working on a steam engine is an art form. I think that's the fun part of the job is that no two steam engines are the same. I mean, they have a soul, they have a fire, they have their own personality. I mean, they're alive. Steam engines are alive and they make you feel alive to be around them.
To some people, it might be just a job, but to a good percentage of the older people that in the business, they have enjoyed being around the steam locomotives for X number of years, some even 25 and 30 years, and they would have no other job in the world. We are lucky that we do have, in our case, Diego Morales. He is our future right now, and hopefully we'll get some more like him.
I have no desire to ever work for a diesel-powered railroad. I mean, my heart is set on steam-powered engines. And what comes along with that is a long, rich history of people who have worked on steam engines. They're passing on their knowledge to me, and hopefully I can pass it on to the next set of young blood that comes out here.
I don't know, really, to be honest, why, but if I had to start all over again, I would start again on the railroad. I would come up here, first day, can I help you out? And I'd be here again. It's the steam. It's the steam.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rashawn McClarty. I'm a Christian filmmaker. The name of my film is called Famously Unknown. So why would I follow this guy around? Who is this guy? His name is C-Flow, that's what I call him. But his full name is Caesar C-Flow Johnson, that's what he goes by. So he's a motivational speaker, he's a pastor, a husband, he's a teacher as far as in wrestling. He's a wrestling coach. He does multiple things in his community. And I just felt led to just capture, people in his community know about him, but the world doesn't know. So I felt like just capturing what the world doesn't know. That's why it's called Famously Unknown. It's actually split screen. So there's a lot going on. You're looking at one screen and you're looking at another, but there's a reason for that. You'll see on one side, there's a behind the scenes kind of shot when he's interviewing. On the other side, there's a shot that's straight at his face. That shot represents the famous part, right, of his community, people knowing him, right? So it's like the perfect picture, whereas the other side is the behind the scenes kind of picture, what nobody really sees. So Caesar, or C-Flow, there was a moment in time where in the film where you see that he lost a friend and to COVID, and the day after he actually officiated a wedding. And he even spoke about how it's kind of bittersweet, where he's celebrating with a family, but at the same time inside he's mourning over his friend, and he couldn't even properly attend to the family because of COVID. He had to keep his distance, so he kind of just parked in their garage. I mean, in the front of their driveway, and just prayed for the family and stayed there. So in hearing him and seeing him doing what he does and trying to encourage people, it really taught me just to be selfless and to encourage other people. Towards the end of the film, he actually does like a motivational speaking thing. Like it's like, I think about 30 seconds where he just gives you a motivational word, and it's encouraging. And he basically says something along the lines, I'm not a motivational speaker, so you got to watch the film, but he says something along the lines of, you can encourage somebody. You know, you always can encourage somebody else, and you never know what that person is going through. One of the main things too that he does, and he consistently covers throughout the piece, is his love for Jesus. And no, he doesn't push it in people's faces. No, he doesn't condemn people, because it's not his position to condemn people. But he really just, out of love, really just loves on people as Jesus would. And one of the main messages he shares is just, just the love of Christ, just loving people. Please join my Central Valley Community Foundation family and my PBS family and myself in watching this film. And I pray that it encourages you, and I pray that it shows you that someone's there to help you through this trial.
In the interview with your boy Big C-Flow, from the bottom of the bay all the way up to the skull, I got the good seed, best believe I'm gonna sow. Will it produce a good crop or get locked and choke on? Give me a dope beat and one microphone, I'll flip it old school like Chuck Taylor's and afros. I don't play, I put it down for my king all night and all day. I don't really care what these others gonna say. I got Christ in my heart, and I can't be ashamed in a van, car, plane, or train. Now I'm doing shows from state to state. When these other rappers, they do it for the fame, but their heart is even blacker than Flavor Flav. Google Flavor Flav. I'll tell you this. When I was a youth pastor, the students would tell me there's 3 parts of you. You are Caesar, and all Caesar wants to do is hang out with his wife. He wants to go crabbing. He wants to buy his bicycle. He wants to kick. He's cool. He's cool. We like Caesar. He's cool. And then they go, you got Pastor Caesar. Pastor Caesar's the guy that's going to tell you, don't do this, don't do that. Don't be in the church parking lot doing donuts. And then they go, then there's C-Flow. C-Flow's the rapper, the motivational guy, the rah-rah. And he's probably the guy that did donuts in the church parking lot. So I got those 3 personas. But really, bottom line is the title is one thing, but the character and who I am, I'm really just a person that loves God. I love people. So we did the Faith Over Fear concert, outdoor drive-in concert. Man, we got a lot of people out here, more than we thought. And it's a good turnout, encouraging people, giving people something to be excited about. You know, God is real. And even though we got coronavirus and there's fires and all this stuff going on, political, we got something to be hopeful for. You see the shirt right here? If I had to describe COVID-19, the coronavirus that we're facing today, coronavirus would be the villain. Because the villain wants to destroy, the villain wants to kill and wants to steal and do what a villain does. But when you watch a superhero film, the villain also brings out the hero out of the hero and helps the hero see their flaws and grow. Probably the most disturbing thing I hear from people is when they say that COVID-19 is not real. Yeah, it's real. I've had people close to me that have died from it. I have people close to me that have been impacted by it and they've been hospitalized by it. So yeah, it's very much real. And I would say to a person that would say it's not real to be very cautious what they say and how they say it, because that could come across very rude and insulting to someone who has been impacted by it. I'm supposed to get ready to do a wedding today. It's bittersweet because yesterday I was just with my friend's family. My friend just passed away from COVID yesterday. And I'm gonna choose, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice, that's a choice. I will rejoice and be glad in it. So I'm making a choice to choose to be happy because this is a celebratory moment that we're having right now. These are 2 lives, actually 4 that are coming together to be one because it's a family, a whole family together. So I'm pretty happy about that. So here we are facing a pandemic like the world has never seen, the coronavirus, COVID-19. And you know, in the Japanese kanji, there are 2 symbols that make the word crisis. We are in a crisis. Crisis stands for danger. One of those symbols is danger. The other symbol is opportunity. So there's a danger. There's a danger that someone might die, danger that you might lose a grandparent, you might lose a parent, you might even die. There's a real danger that's happening right now. A danger your family might lose their job, might lose their home, you might have to move. School's not even in right now in some of these places. And here it is, maybe you're not going to the classroom, you might lose your friends. There's a real danger. But there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for you to grow. That's one opportunity right there, for you to grow as a person. I remember how I wanted to quit, man. I remember when I saw my mom get lowered, you know? And all the years of just growing up without my mom, growing up without my dad, growing up not knowing who I was. I never thought, like years ago, over a decade ago, when my mom died, when my dad died, I never thought that, I didn't have that thought that, hey, things are gonna be cool because, you know what, in the future, I'm gonna be flying all around the world. In the future, I'm gonna be speaking in schools. In the future, I'm gonna be rapping. I didn't have those thoughts. I just, you know, I was just like, I was broken, you know? And right then, God said, Caesar, this is the plan that I had for you way back when you were a little kid.
Hi everybody, I'm Jenny Toasty, and I'm pleased to present this film about the bees produced by an all-female crew. Lexi Sisk is our production assistant, who's also a longtime volunteer here at Valley PBS, and Krista Tweet did the beautiful drone photography showcasing our valley. We did this story because my son is actually the little beekeeper. He started when he was only 10, and people would get such a kick out of him going to retrieve a swarm. So he would show up in his suit, and he would shake the bees into a bucket, and they'd ask him questions about the bees and the queen and where they came from. And they were surprised at how fearless he was, and they'd pull out the cameras, film him, put it on social media, and I thought, aha, this is a great story. We have to tell this story. And I've been a storyteller for over 20 years. I've spent more than 10 years in local television and in news, and so we need to let people know why it's important to help these bees. It's also important because of agriculture, and I write a monthly column for the Fresno Bee about ag. I know that This is more than $20 billion of value to our economy, and the bees are a chink in the armor. If they go, we could lose 80% of our fruits and vegetables. So this is important not only for the Valley economy, but also for the entire security of the nation. We all need that reliable food source. We also realize there's a bit of irony to this story in that ag needs bees, and yet some of the practices of the growers and the pest control advisors were actually harming the bees. We also wanted to let homeowners know that if a cluster of bees shows up at your house, you can call a beekeeper, the county has a list, and they'll remove it for free or for the cost of gas to save those bees and give them a new home. So we wanted to spread the word about how important it is to all work together to save the bees. So thank you to our farmers Brian Cook and Joe Delbosky for working with us, and to the Central Valley Community Foundation. Together we can all work together to save the bees.
Swarms, I just put a tub under it and shake them in. They're just some amazing little creatures. And I mean, they make honey, but it's not about the honey. It's about the bees and keeping them alive because they're endangered. I've been a beekeeper for 2 years now. And I want to send them to the almonds. All right, girls. I just see what they do for the world and all the pollination. And I think it's also kind of fun just to take care of these little girls.
We are the largest melon organic grower in the country. This is the most popular melon in America, except for the watermelon. You'll find these in Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. We grow some of the best here in the west side of Fresno County. If we had no bees, we would have no melons. We would have no almonds. We would have no citrus. Bees are that critical for producing these fruits.
We started out of necessity because we have small acreages of almonds. When we rented bees, we had boxes, but we never had no bees in them. We sell a lot of bees every year. We produce our own queens, but all the costs have gone up. When you're small, you need to find a way to be sustainable, or it's pretty tough to make it. This is one of the fascinating things about bees. They're the best builders in the world because it doesn't matter. If it's today, tomorrow, next year, they're going to draw the same size cell. They're going to draw them exactly the same. How many folks can do that?
All right, girls, you hungry? For the summer, there's 4 or 5 months of just nothing. There's no flowers. I make sugar water and the fake pollen to get them that much stronger. My pumpkins, my cantaloupes, all this is buckwheat. It blooms and they get some nectar from it. Honeybee right there on the flowers.
Oh yeah, the bees love the hedgerows, they love the sunflowers of course, they love the buckwheat. They gather a lot of pollen from the corn. That's what our hedgerows are good for. You look around the whole valley and most of our crops need bees. The whole country depends on California because we can grow all these crops that like this hot, dry weather that you can't grow anywhere else. And we produce 70% of the melons in the country right here in the west side of Fresno and Merced counties. We have to be able to have agriculture continuing to produce for the sake of food supply, for the sake of jobs, and for the sake of having a healthy economy.
The prosperity of the almond industry in California would not exist if it wasn't for bees. There wouldn't be as many beekeepers without the almonds either. Unless we increase the bees, pretty soon it's going to be, we're not going to have enough bees for pollination. The United States statistics is, on average, at least 30% loss. You need to accept the fact that you're going to lose some.
There's so many diseases and viruses now that it's hard to get them through the winter. First year, there's no bees in the box when I looked. So I think the queen died and then the whole colony went with her.
You're going to get the hang of this.
Beekeeping would be a lot easier and cheaper without mites. You have to fill their colonies up with chemicals. But if you don't treat these colonies, they might not make it through the winter.
We need to find ways to keep our bees healthy. We need to do more research. We need to understand their diseases, what happens when you move bees around. And there's not enough bees in California to pollinate all of our almonds. A lot of bees are brought in from other states. We get some from like South Dakota, and we want to make sure that they're able to go out and pollinate every single hour they can.
I'm on both sides of the fence. I grow almonds. I have bees right here. You can coexist. We'll have to make that little bit of change. Spraying when the bees aren't active later in the evening, earlier in the morning. Maybe you can use a safer pesticide than what they're trying to sell. Why don't they do it like they do the oranges and put a moratorium on spraying while the bloom's on? Pretty simple, right? Follow the guidelines. The almond board, they got it down.
It's really critical to have good communication with your beekeeper and your pest control advisor. We actually have a group text, so anytime we talk about applying pesticides, everybody knows. The last thing we want is for her bees to be injured or killed because we need them. We will never be able to grow these crops without bees.
Helping little guys like Heath, that's our future.
I love getting a call to go catch a swarm. There's nothing better than saving the bees.
This film, Liminal, is essentially a day in the life story. We're getting a brief moment in time following Arnold, who is a reentry coordinator for Insight Garden program, as he picks up two people recently released from prison and takes them on a journey to nature. And so we documented a single day, waking up before dawn to catch Arnold, which is the very first shot of the film as you see him exit his house and walk to the car, and had the wonderful opportunity to track with him all day as he picked up Alvaro and Steven and connected with Insight Garden program staff in nature. And our goal in making this film was simply to show this beautiful process of what it is like for those who, as he says, only know the concrete confines of the neighborhood or of prison and haven't necessarily had those opportunities to connect with trees and water and fresh air. And what was wonderful was not just to document their experiences along the way, but also to have that own experience for ourselves. When we dipped our feet in the cool water of the river and felt the fresh air and surrounded by the greenery, we too connected with that. And it was such a joy to get to document their amazing experience and how transformative it was for them. And we hope that we've captured a little slice of that so you can feel that too in watching this.
When I was in prison, I was a lifer. I was never supposed to get out. Even Governor Gray Davis said, the only way you lifers are going home is in a pine box. I was arrested for the investigation of homicide. That was the last time I saw daylight. And for the next 25 years, I spent in prison. There's more to life than just prison and the neighborhood. If you don't spread your wings, you're never going to see that.
What's going on?
What's up, fool?
How you doing, Arnold?
Good. Good to see you.
Likewise. Arnold, when you first got out, was it hard for you?
Still hard for me, bro.
I feel lost, Arnold. I really do, man. Being out of prison and going through all the motions and COVID-19 and getting a job and getting fired. It's just, I have all types of thoughts going through my head. Like, I wanted to give up the other day.
We got to talk about that.
I blame myself for everything, you know? Like, I feel like it's all my fault. You know?
Yeah, I do know. I see the challenges. I wish I could, God, help them out somehow, but my hands are tied. I'm barely getting my life together.
How you doing, man? What? Nice to see you, man.
What's up, boy?
Huh? Just busy, man. Just been working. Working my ass off, dude.
It's peaceful out here. Look at this. I don't really get out of Fresno like that.
So you know how to swim?
Yeah, I go against the stream, you know?
Yeah, I never learned how to swim.
You never learned how to swim?
Yeah, I never learned. It's showing them a different side of living with nature. You know, it shows that it is greener on the other side. We're hoping that the connection between the mind and what they're seeing out in nature, that plants thrive despite what's going on.
And as you keep breathing, allow your shoulders to just gently relax. You came out around the same time and went through a lot of the same experiences in there, you know? And I'm just grateful that you can both be here today. It's like the first time that you're seeing each other since the inside, right?
I'm just thankful for being out of prison, you know, because I was in a dark place in my life when I was in there, you know? And I'm out here now, and slowly but surely, I'm coming out of that darkness.
Remember, we did cry about this. We did pray about this when we were in there.
Yeah.
We should be like, man, bro, I can't wait till I get out and I got this going on, this. And next thing you know, look, here it is. I just try to be grateful for all the things that I got. I don't have a car, don't have a home, I don't have kids, and I just gotta have faith.
By me joining the gang and then dropping out, it just ruined my life, you know, I ruined my life. I did that to myself, I ruined it. I feel like everything I've done in the past is bad. Now that I'm trying to do good, it's starting to all come back. And it's just like non-stop, like, you know, just too many things, different things. And I'm just real stressed.
You're not alone.
Yeah. No, I know. I know I'm not.
Community here for you.
I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I expect more doors to open. Yeah, it's not, like you said, it's not gonna happen overnight, but it'll happen. Hang in there. No, I'm not getting in.
You gotta get your head wet.
I was there in your shoes. And you can be here in my shoes. Don't ever tell yourself that you can't do it. Because you can. There's a whole bunch of us trying to make that change.
I came to the Valley about 5.5 years ago to do science research at the Department of Agriculture. In this time, I have learned to love rock climbing and the Sierra Mountains that surround us. The community is what inspired me to make this film. As a rock climber, you have to do this with friends and you learn from each other. You can't climb on your own. Nor could I make this video on my own. I had both a vertical crew and a sky and grounds crew. The vertical crew, John and Laurel, were essential because they were the ones that helped me be secure so I could film the film. John helped teach me how to climb and ascend the ropes. Laurel, who was ahead of him, would often sit for an hour on end, waiting for us to reach where they were. The ground and sky crew, Shanoa and Frank, were essential for manning the ground cameras as well as catching drops gear, like my walkie-talkie. In addition, they filmed the beautiful drone footage that you'll see in this film. And finally, this film is about Jill and Stacy and their rock climbing adventure, but also their support for each other on and off the pitch. Come with me and enjoy and experience what it's like to go rock climbing 500 feet into the air as we go up Fresno Dome. Feel what it's like to be on the edge.
The climbing community is the absolute best humans on the planet. They saved my life, literally.
Yeah, you know, you trust and support so much on the wall that you have that same trust and support in your personal life as well.
Absolutely. I'm Stacy, and I've been climbing just over 5 years.
My name is Jill. When I'm outside, I feel like I'm home. That's where I belong.
Hey, climbing to me kind of came by accident, literally by accident. My son passed away climbing January 25th, 2015. He was climbing Royal Arches for the 5th time, and they were doing the rappel down, and he didn't have a knot tied in the bottom of his rappel rope, and he fell right through his gear.
Having a climbing partner that you trust is huge. You know, your lives depend on each other from the minute you leave the ground until you take your harnesses off at the end of the day.
I think about Cody a lot, especially when we're on the climbs.
When you hike up to the bottom of the climb, finding the route that you want to climb in the book, you're so close to the crag, it's hard to tell if you're in the right spot.
I didn't see it because of the tree.
A multi-pitch climb, it's leapfrogging. So I start and my follower comes to me. I continue, my follower comes to me.
When you're on a multi-pitch and you're the person following, you're a little anxious until they get that first piece of protection in. I'm not in any position to catch you if you slip right here.
Yeah, I know. Did you see my foot slip?
Yeah.
One of the most exciting parts of climbing for me is lead climbing, and that's being the person who goes first and the person who takes up the rope.
Getting started, you just get up there, and
climb on.
Once I'm on belay, the fear goes away.
She double-checked me before she left the ground.
It's just like, wow, okay, here we go. I started climbing not knowing how to do it. How to step up on the wall was scary. But from the very first second I did it, I fell in love with it. And now I understood why Cody loved it.
Okay, I'm in.
I have pictures of myself in the same exact iconic position that Cody climbed.
Climbing.
Climb on.
Staying on the route can also be difficult sometimes.
Okay, so this is a 2-bolt.
Okay.
100-footer. Whiskey Bill at Fresno Dome. It's a 5-pitch, 600-foot climb.
When you're doing a multi-pitch,
once you start, you start. You may be 2 hours up the mountain. Who knows how much longer up. Sometimes when you're climbing, you get to a spot on the wall where you start to let the doubt creep in. You start to worry, what if I fall, or what if I can't make this next move?
When I climb, just any kind of encouragement helps me if I hear that from my climbing partner.
You know, all of your focus goes into where you put your hand and where you put your foot, and you know, you almost forget to take a look around.
Wow. Pretty spectacular.
Outside, it's much more difficult to find a hold that you can, you know, get some fingers or a cam and be very secure. And so when you do find a bomber hold, you know, you just get real excited.
Bomber holds are absolutely my favorites. When you get to a bomber, I have a thank you Jesus moment sometimes. Oh yeah, this one's a bomber. Oh, that was cool.
Good, I'm glad you like it. I hope I like this part. This 5th pitch.
I'm the gym mom. I bring way extra food for everybody.
Another bite?
Mm-hmm. It's the most fabulous bar.
After Cody passed away in Yosemite, I decided to adopt Highway 41. It's an area that I knew. I think of him as I passed his signs on the way to climbing areas in the Sierras, including today.
I love being a part of that. It's a great way to remember Cody. The climbing community is a lot different than any community I've ever been a part of. There's just a special bond between you and a climbing partner, and you try to support each other through the sharing of your water, you know, pain of your feet, whatever you can do to get you to the top.
In the wake of tragedy became a wonderful life that I've learned to love with great people. I never was outdoors until I started climbing, and to see what I've been missing all those years, wow. Couldn't imagine my life without climbing.
Hi, my name is Rigo Moran. I'm from Farmersville, based out of Tulare County. I'm excited to share this story, 5-minute documentary about a professor / painter. It's an inspiring story, and I'm very excited to share it with you. About 6 years ago, I met Diego Monterrubio at the Porterville Art Walk, and he was the executive director there. And immediately I noticed that the whole community knew him. You know, everybody liked him, everyone, you know, saw that special thing in him, and I was kind of like trying to find out the reason why, kind of like the behind the story, his story. And when I learned more about him and I saw how he was, and he truly is a gem to the Central Valley. And as a filmmaker, I wanted to capture that, whether it's a 5-minute video, and I wanted to share with the rest of the Central Valley, because I think his story is very inspiring. One of the things that I learned, making this film, it's the music. The music, this is gonna be if you notice the music in the soundtrack, I got a guitar, I personally recorded, I played some tunes, enhanced it with softwares, and I'm very excited how everything came out. It's really, I thought it worked out. So that's something, one of my first time taking and doing, music composing. And I think Diego's story is a perfect example to kind of show everyone how it is possible and, to go after that dream of yours.
My grandfather, his name was Victor Monterrubio, El Maestro Monterrubio, and he was from Tampico, Tamaulipas, and he was an illustrator for Coca-Cola for over 40 years. He took the time to take me by his side and take me under his wing, but it was private, and more than anything, it was just between me and my grandfather. Next thing you know, I became a professor of art. I am Diego Gutierrez Monterrubio, y yo soy pintor. I've been creating a body of work revolving bulls. My grandfather would listen. He was an aficionado of La Taurina, which is an aficionado of bullfights, but the whole culture, not necessarily the violent part. When we were in the studio, when I was a kid in Mexico, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old working with him, that was part of what we listened to. I think consciously, I created this Toro series as an homage to my grandfather. I was able to learn from him and watch him and, exhibit some paintings with him as a little kid with him and his friends, which was neat because they were all maestros and I was just a kid. And later on, it was neat because then I became the maestro, which is pretty cool. Down. Down. I teach a large class at Bakersfield College. I'm an adjunct at Fresno State. I teach for National University. I'm one of their master teachers for their teaching credential program. And I teach full-time at Central Valley High School, teaching art students. I got some advice once from a professor here at Porterville College. She said, Diego, what's going on with your work? You're not producing what you used to produce. And I just kind of said, well, life's going on. I got, family, this and that and da-da-da. And then she says, well, you're not gonna reach your place if you put your art second. Your art has to become first. And so I took that to heart. For me to tell my parents, I'm the only son. These expectations of what they want me to do or where I'm supposed to be, I had to say no. My father's 76 now, and he still drives a truck to haul fruit. So he's been in the ag business his entire life. And I think my father pretty much wanted me to follow in his footsteps as well. But, art was in my blood. And so I had to overcome the constant fight with my dad, are you gonna follow me or what are you gonna do? And I said, I'm gonna do this. I've exhibited my work. I've been in New York, I've been in Paris, I've been in Argentina, I've been in Mexico City. I was in Vietnam one time. Coming back home to inspire people or feel inspired by my own home is fulfilling for me. I'm lucky. I don't even know what to tell you. I feel blessed every time somebody gives me a call. The Torres brothers, who are in charge of the Micha Fest, they want me to build a sculpture specifically just for the Micha Fest. And I said, I'm excited, let's do it. The sculpture is 18 feet tall, 16 feet long, 6 feet wide, multiple color like una librije from Oaxaca. This size is fine, but this size is spectacular. We have to still continue to inspire people. And so now through virtual learning and virtual instruction, it works, but it's not the same as human connection. And that's what art is about. Art is truly about human connection. If art is your passion, then you must follow this passion. If you love to dance, then you should dance. And if you love to paint, then you should paint. If you want to film, then you should film. Not only am I teaching art, but I'm also teaching ethnic studies. Whether you identify yourself as a Hispanic, a Latino, a Mexican, Mexican-American, Chicano, whatever it may be, it's important for us to celebrate our own heritage. I constantly talk about, different eras of the Mexicano, the Latino, the Nicaraguan, the Guatemalteco, the Belizean, the Costa Rican. I want students to be exposed to that. I want them to see the wonderful things that these people have been contributing to society. I'm from Lindsay. I'm from Porterville. I'm from the Central Valley. I'm the son of a migrant worker. I'm the son of a seamstress. And I'm gonna go teach my students that we can get to New York, or we can get to Paris, or we can get to Tokyo, or wherever we want to go exhibit our work if we stick to our heart.
Hi, I'm Jamila Finley.
And I'm Z Finley.
We are a mother and daughter duo who together founded the Fresno Black Girl Magic Project. Our film is called #Black Girl Magic, and Z's going to tell you a little bit about our Rites of Passage program that's featured in the film.
Our program takes girls in the Valley ages 11 to 19 and teaches them about career competency in the fields of journalism and modeling, giving them opportunities to write in our own magazine, Ashe. And they write all the articles, they model for the magazine, and they just get to celebrate themselves by sharing their stories.
Can you remember being a teenager and how challenging it was to just be in your skin and how hard it was to be confident? I personally could not imagine myself trying to do any of the things that these girls do, but they do an amazing job. And I think what you're going to see in the film is that as these girls are modeling and as these girls are writing and we're doing all of these different activities, that they're coming into their own, which is really what the goal of the program is. Z, do you want to say anything else?
It's very unique for us to have a film together since we are mother and daughter, and it's been a very interesting experience working together.
Yeah, I think I'm proud of us because from the very conception of the Black Girl Magic Project, when we were just sitting in the chiropractor's office and we thought we should start a magazine. There's no magazines by Black girls for Black girls. And then from that moment to this moment, to see how we've grown to 3 volumes of a magazine that we developed together, I don't know. It's
amazing.
Yeah. And I hope that anybody who's watching, especially the people who have been a part of our village, see yourself reflected in this film because we have been so excited and honored for all of the community support. And we'd like to thank everyone who's been involved or who's done anything for this program to thrive. And special thanks to the Big Tell 2020 for having us. We hope you enjoy the film. We didn't know about any magazines for Black girls by Black girls, and we thought that it would be important to have one because modeling is a vehicle. Like, you actually really have to feel comfortable and you have to be willing to try new things, and that in itself, just getting in front of a camera in front of even a small group of people, helps you with your confidence, pushes you out of your comfort zone a little bit. And then the actual magazine, it's basically like taking their idea that they wrote about and then them illustrating it as the model. So instead of us hiring a model from an agency, we're actually using the writer who wrote it, and they're embodying the ideas.
Some of the issues that we face are negative stereotypes and feeling like we have to go above and beyond the expectations of a Black girl because we're only expected to do so much, so we feel like we have to be better than that, and it can become very overwhelming. One of the things we focus on is career competency. So I learned a lot when it comes to how to make a magazine, the whole process of editing and writing, as well as modeling, if that was a career that I wanted to do.
I thought, I wonder what it would be like if we used writing and modeling and basically all the ways that the media is impacting us, through what we read or don't read in literature, what we see or what we don't see on covers of magazines. Like, what if we use all of those ways that we're being impacted and we started creating through those mediums and through those genres ourselves. If we became the content creators and we became the directors of the media versus being impacted by it.
There is just lots of problems when it comes to Black girls not being represented in media, and we wanted to let Black girls have a chance to make their voices heard and show them, center them. The mural behind me is of my grandmother, Dr. Paulette Fleming. She was an art professor here at Fresno State. She made a really big impact on my life when it comes to being creative and artistic.
Even if she was still living, I do think there's a certain passing of the torch in terms of vision for the community, and I hope that that happens with me and my daughter as well. Like, I think at a certain point where you feel like you've done what you can, and the younger generation has a new vision, and they take what they've seen you do and then they expand on it in the ways that their generation informs. I think that that just happens naturally. Black Girl Magic is really just about a celebration of Black women. It is the youthful, vibrant exuberance of the Black female identifying spirit. We're aware that people have a perception that Black girls are less innocent, less nurturing, less needing of support. And so Black Girl Magic Project actually addresses that by giving lots of support, by allowing girls to be girls and young people to be young people. We take them to camp, we go on field trips, and then we do some more serious things. We write about the issues that matter to us, and we talk to each other. We have critical conversations.
It's really important for young Black girls because there's not a lot of opportunities for Black girls to really make sure that their voices are heard because they're young, so some people won't listen to them, or because they're Black. And what we do is make sure that they are heard and they can tell their own stories.
I recently was giving a thank you gift to someone who had done a lot for our program, and they were surprised because they said, the girls are the gift. They're inspired by the girls. We always think it's the other way around, that the girls will need inspiration, but I'm really finding that people in the community are inspired by our girls, and I think that really speaks to the quality and the character of these young ladies. But I also feel like it's not that surprising because a lot of girls I know are just like this, you know, like these are 10 girls, but they represent a lot of girls who are exactly like this. And I think that's the point, you know, that yes, Black girls are amazing, and if you're around them long enough and you give them a chance, then you'll learn that.
I'm Ashley Swearingen with the Central Valley Community Foundation. I hope you loved those films as much as we do at the Community Foundation. We are so excited to produce the Big Tell every year, and 2020 is a year like no other. But we believe in the stories, we believe in the people of the Central Valley, and that's what the Big Tell is all about. So we hope you enjoyed the show. It would not have been possible without some really important sponsors. So let me again say thank you to the James B. McClatchy Foundation. Thank you to CMAC, thank you to Valley PBS, and most especially thank you, Sasha Brown Rice, for your support of our filmmakers this year. If you liked what you saw tonight and you think, you know, I've got a story that needs to be told next year, or maybe you're a budding filmmaker and you want to see your film next year be a part of the Big Tell, applications will post next spring, so be on the lookout, thebigtell.org, spring of 2021, all of the details will be there, and in the next few days, you can see the films you just saw tonight will be available at thebigtell.org. Be sure to go on our website, like the page, share it with others, and let's make sure the entire world sees the stories of the Central Valley. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next year.